Greetings, everyone, and welcome to America's Talking, powered by the Center Square. I'm Dan McCaleb, Executive Editor of the Center Square Newswire service. We are now in the fourth week of the federal government shutdown because most Senate Democrats are withholding their votes from advancing a continuing resolution to fund government agencies at the same levels they had been. And while many Americans haven't felt too much of an impact of the shutdown, if it continues into November, which is next week, millions of people will lose access to food benefits, childcare, and more. Joining me to discuss this is the Center Square congressional reporter, Therese Boudreau. Therese, you wrote about many of those impacts at thecentersquare.com. Tell us more.
Yeah, well, you're right. Like you said, the majority of Americans, those who aren't federal workers, haven't really been feeling much of the impact yet. I've actually talked to someone just the other day who didn't know we were in a government shutdown. But, it's been going on for more than 3 weeks at this point. Senators have let this today's Friday morning, and senators have already left for the weekend. So that means that by the time they return, shutdown's going to be entering, it's going to be nearly its fourth week, and it'll have been 26 days at the very least, which is approaching the record 35 days. So it's getting pretty close. While most people aren't feeling stuff as much right now, aren't really feeling the effects, it's going to get worse for some because SNAP benefits, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as food stamps, a lot of state governors are warning that they're not going to have enough money to subsidize benefits for November if this shutdown continues. And as you noted, November is approaching really quickly. There have been some governors, Governor Glenn Youngkin from Virginia, who said that he's going to declare a state of emergency, actually, so that the SNAP benefits can still be funded. But not all. I mean, he's the only one as of now that I know of who's doing that. And not all governors are probably able to do that or willing to do that. So we're talking about potentially tens of millions of people who are going to be either not getting their SNAP benefits at all, or they're going to be delayed or reduced. And so that really impacts food security. I mean, there are around 42 million people on SNAP right now across the country. So that's some pretty serious issue.
And that includes a lot of children. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Therese, but I mean, we're talking children in this case too.
That's true. I think it was around 6 million or something like that. Yeah. So it's not good. And so that's one of the more serious impacts that people are probably going to see soon. But then there's other things that are going to get worse, that have been getting steadily worse, such as flight delays. So air traffic controllers have been working without pay since the shutdown began, so October 1st. And a lot of them are calling out sick because they need to be able to pay their bills, pay their rent, pay their mortgage, all these things. And so they call in sick and pick up side jobs. And so that's leading to getting reports a lot of delays. And so as it drags on, and as more and more of them don't see any money coming in and miss their paychecks and are just working without pay, a lot of them we're going to see a lot more of this pattern probably. And so that not only affects these workers and their families, but also affects the American public who's traveling. So it's not looking great where we're at right now, because there really doesn't seem to be any appetite on either side right now, for either Democrats or Republicans in Congress, to fix this. And they both seem to be just waiting each other out and hoping, it seems, that the bad effects will pressure, the other side to come to the table and negotiate on something. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
As part of in what was meant to be sort of a stopgap, Republicans tried to get a bill passed that would at least pay troops and essential workers during the shutdown, but that was also blocked by Democrats.
Yes, that's right. That was Thursday. They had that vote. So Republicans because the shutdown's going on for so long, and Border Patrol agents, federal police officers, a lot of these workers considered essential, TSA officers, air traffic controllers, they're working without pay. Active duty military service members did get a paycheck October 15th, but only because the Pentagon dipped into some untapped research and development funds. So their next pay date is approaching, and that's probably not going to get covered. So Republicans introduced a bill, the Shutdown Fairness Act, that not only for this shutdown, but also for any shutdowns in the future, it would guarantee that active duty members of the military and most essential workers, listed before, would get paid during the shutdown. They wouldn't have to work without pay. It wouldn't have covered the hundreds of thousands of furloughed workers, those deemed non-essential, so different staff positions at the FDA or EPA or things like that. And so Democrats opposed that bill for two reasons. So there were 3 Democrats who didn't, but the rest of the Senate Democrats did. One of the reasons, and this seemed to be the main one, was that they thought that it would give away some of their leverage. Because again, all Democrats need to do right now to reopen the government is Republicans just need 5 more of them in the Senate to vote for the continuing resolution. But they're not doing that. And so they have these cards that they're playing that they're hoping are going to help them. Like they have, they're saying, well, we're holding out because we're fighting for healthcare. And so they're trying to blame the effects of a shutdown on Republicans. But if they voted for a bill and a lot of those bad impacts, such as federal workers working without pay, were averted, then they don't have as much leverage to pressure Republicans to fold to the healthcare policy demands. So that was one reason. And, Democrats have admitted that. And then another reason was that there were some Democratic senators who said that the bill didn't go far enough. They wanted it to cover all federal workers. So, if the government shut down, then even workers who aren't working, federal workers who aren't working, would get paid, which that would be quite a change, definitely. And they introduced a bill to that end, and but that's Republicans don't support that, aren't going to support that. So yes, that bill, the Shutdown Fairness Act, failed, and so there really hasn't been any progress since October 1st. I mean, there's been incidents, there's been talks, there's been bills introduced that have failed, but nothing is moving at this point.
Therese, thank you for joining us today. Listeners can keep up with the ongoing government shutdown story and the impacts on everyday Americans at thecentersquare.com.